Today is Friday, May 31st. Welcome to the daily levels for the day. It's 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes before 9 o'clock. We'll come back to this chart after the market closes and look at all the trades taken at E-minis based off these levels. I'm going to keep this level here at 522.85 on the board. If they come back down into it, but still act as support, we will see you after the market closes. So we need to talk about a few things on how the spiders reacted to the levels today. Here they are. Big moves down and up. They closed pretty strong. Kind of suspected they would, but in the morning I thought that they would go lower and I wanted to buy. Really didn't want to be on the short side. But when they got above, so at 9:45 they were above this 524.50 level, and honestly the only thing I can tell you is looking at other charts, it's more of a gut feeling. I did not want to buy here for a bounce higher. And I wasn't ready to sell short because, like I said, I wanted to be on the long side. So I didn't do anything here. And it turned out to be going short would have worked really well because this level was important. But, my rule is after 9:45 to take the trade. So like I say, it was after 9:40. Well, you could have been short and wrote it down. But anyway, just like to play by the rules and treat every level exactly the same. The next level down here at 522.85 was not one of my calculated levels. I just mentioned this morning that it was there for a couple of reasons. The pre-market was underneath here for a while, from like 8 a.m. until the market opened, or right before the market opened. And I wanted to see if they would get above it, and they did. That's when I told you they went higher. And so this really wasn't a formula-derived level. Didn't really want to treat it the same, but nonetheless, playing by the rules, they came up within the threshold or within the zone that I look for. It bounced up just enough to where barely a base hit would have been given to the E-minis, almost. And I didn't like that, so did not take this trade, ignored it. And I started getting into trades down here. And I'll try to talk through what I did, but it'll make sense when you watch the video, hopefully. But I pretty much, it's pretty sloppy trading. It worked out okay. Made a little bit over $1,100. Could have made a lot more because, I'll just tell you what I did. So I started buying here, and there were several things happening, and I think it was like 5 or 6 contracts long as it came down into here. So I was way out of the money and ended up buying a couple more. So I was 8 contracts long and pretty much near the limit of what I want to put at risk. There's a function of account balance, risk size. 20 points in the hole, depends on number of contracts, is kind of my limit. And I threw my fumble threshold rules kind of out of the window because let's say if I was live streaming this this morning, or when this was happening, 11, 12, 1 o'clock or so, I would have basically been screaming to stay in this trade because there were several indications they were going to push this thing higher. So that's why I held on to this thing. I've had a couple people ask if I was going to do live streams, and the more I think about it, I like that idea. I'll see if I can work around my schedule to make that happen because, I'm getting off topic, but what I'm planning on doing once this trading course is put out there, because it explains a lot of the things that I'm looking for, how to identify levels and everything else, more the technical analysis, and explain the rules of everything. Once that's out, then these daily levels that I'm putting out every morning, that's going to go away. There'll be a subscription for that, and what I plan to do for those who want to access those is provide kind of play-by-play, information in a website type format. So you can just logged on and it's live, kind of a streaming type thing, but not streaming the trades, but streaming the commentary, if you will. So, streaming would be good. I would just basically tell people that, or would have told anyone watching to stay in this trade, because what I saw happening down here, and maybe we could look at some larger time frames, because it's the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, and I had a pretty good feeling, like I said this morning and a couple other times, that they probably wanted to close higher up and kind of give the appearance that they were going to close pretty healthy, because I have a prediction on the long term, which maybe I'll explain later. So I was going for 5. I thought they would go up to 525. So I was well to the money when they came back out of here with 8 contracts. I was going to take 6 off. I think it was around 521.45 or so, and just ride the other 2 up with I was 12 points or so to the good at this point to ride that up. And it would have worked great. It would have been at least $3,600 plus, whatever that trailer would have given me, because I would have jumped out before 525. Didn't expect it to go this high. And this was all toward the end of the day anyway. Anyway, didn't happen because I kind of got sucked into something and fell for it and reversed a couple times. Well, you'll see. Ended up fine above water. Day ended pretty well. Levels were important, as you can tell, but playing by the rules, it wouldn't have been perfect. We'll take a look at that. But right now, let's just jump into the live trade. Okay, so it starts here. right when the market opened at 9:30. And I'll scrub ahead here and kind of talk through this because I've already explained, wasn't really willing to buy here or sort of sell here when I came back down into it from, they were right above it at 9:45, and I didn't sell either. It's just playing by the rules. Yes, you would have bought, and that is what's logged into the, or entered into the log. So show you what would have happened had you been long here. This would have been a no trade because of the near miss scenario. So we'll just take a look or watch this. So they came down, was not in that trade. You can see I'm just watching at this point. They pulled up, kind of, you see this. This doesn't look like very much here. Sorry, it came within pennies. We can go back at the full day and I'll show you where that was. Because once again, this was not a formula derived level, so I really didn't want to treat it as such. Looked like the support was really kind of near the gap from the other day. But anyway, still just kind of was a spectator looking at this. Got into 520.68 with a zone. Let me back up. I'll show you what I did here. So I just limit orders on the chart. Buy 2 above this and buy 2 more down here. So really it was a little bit premature. So I was at 4 long by the time they got down in there. So that's why I bought another one. So I think I was telling you a little bit earlier, I kind of, a little bit sloppy. So I'm long 5 at this point, waiting for a bounce. And looking for 6 points. I felt pretty good about them being, going higher, but they continued to fake everyone out, at least me out, for a while until I started seeing things happen, and I kind of got this pretty good feeling that they were going to just draw maybe the amateurs or whoever else down, thinking they were just going to keep going down lower. But this is such an important area, and they really wanted to close the day, the week, and the month strong. That was my feeling I had about this time during the day, especially about lunchtime or so. So anyway, I'm buying as they keep going lower. So I bought another one down here. I got down, so I'm 6. I'm long 6 here. At this point, I'm really starting to ignore my rules in terms of what they do under the fumble threshold. So I waited till they got down to 518.72, put an order in, and yes, I bought 2 more. So I'm long 8 at this point, and this is where they found the bottom finally. These would have been base hits, by the way, playing by the rules. Yes, a fumble at the very beginning, but we'll talk about that later. So as they came out of here, just kind of patiently waited and got back into the money. So I'm looking at, 12 points with 6 contracts to sell, and that was my plan. I was going to ride the remaining 2 contracts up for as much as I can get. This 52.37.25 was kind of around this 521.45 level. I figured they're going to probably hit some type of overhead resistance there, and they didn't get up there. And then something happened, and it was actually on a 10-minute chart. I kind of feel silly that I fell for it, but it looked like something was happening on a 10-minute chart, which you can go back and look at later. Right about here, I think. It looked like, oh, maybe they're going to actually reverse and come back down, maybe at least down to this 520 or a little bit lower. So I just reversed, just kind of an instinctive thing. I think $1,800. I was $1,800 or so to the good at this point. So I reversed. So now I'm short 8 when that happens. I'm just going to let this play, and you'll see it. The trade completely change from long 8 to short 8, which negates the 3,600 pending order up there, the limit order. I think it was about now. Started getting below this level here, and I got a signal that I interpreted as a trend change on the 10-minute chart, and it really wasn't what it was. It was kind of a fake out. I'll scrub ahead, and if I go past it, I'll just back up. There we go. So I'm back up. So still long, and then when it changes to short 8 is when I reverse. So I pocketed, put $1,800 or closed out that much at that point. And that was good, but they immediately continued to the original direction. So what I did, instead of getting this, I thought I'd just grab a little quick base hit. So think about it, I was able to close out a decent amount with, just a few points, but with 8 contracts, it adds up pretty fast. Thought I could grab a quick base hit of 5 points or so, 4.5, 5 points with 6, and then trail more down if they were to go lower. Down to at least 520 is what I thought they might do, but they didn't. That was the fake out. So they continued higher. So when they got back up to my break-even point, which is around $1,800, I just reversed again, thinking, well, let's go back to plan A, which was to ride this thing higher. So at this, when I reversed again, I'm back at 0. I think it was like $46 or something like that. There we go. So now I'm long. At this point, I'm just going to look for a base hit. So there's a 521.46 I was telling you about that I was going to get out with that 3,600 initially. I hope I'm not confusing people too much, but sure enough, they get up there and they continue higher. And at this point, I just took what they gave me. And they fell back and stopped me out here. So it was 1175 before commissions. I'm not going to complain, but that's only 3 points with 8 contracts, which is kind of sad when I could have got $3,600 or more for the day. But not going to complain about it. So they continued higher, and like I said, I didn't think they would go all the way up to 525. I thought that would be a really awesome goal for the end of the day. But not only did they do that, they went higher, above 527. And in fact, in the post market, I'll just pause this here, they basically hung out right above this level here. So they closed very strong considering where they were. So here's the levels as they were hit and satisfied. Didn't do anything here, didn't do anything here, just didn't like that, what they were doing. Started buying here with the adjusted level. So really this, bought all the way down. So the average position here, as they came back out of here, gave me some points. And then by the time they got up to 525, 55 or so, I would have jumped out before here anyway had I been writing this thing up. I mean, it's neither here nor there because it didn't happen. But this was after 3:30. Would not have taken these trades. Worked out pretty well. This is one of the reasons I don't like to take trades after 3:30 because I just don't know what's going to happen at the levels. All right, so first up is the playing by the rules, which is a 13.5 point fumble on that first one. Did I explain that? I don't think I did. Let's go back and look at it. Yeah, to keep things consistent on the log, if you would have bought up here after 9:45, you would have been immediately out of the money. You would have not triggered this one because of the near miss here, because the signal was given after the fact. So you would have closed this out, and that was a 13.5 point loss. Got a base on the reversal. You've got a base on this one, just barely. And yes, they were out of the money, but nothing. Here's the fumble threshold down here, and then a base hit on this. So the total would have been in the hole a little bit. Lost 13.5 and then gained 12 based on what I just showed you. What I did was kind of a mess. Didn't trigger the first one. Well, I don't need to rehash all this, but the net was only 3 points because there's the before commissions with my 8 contracts. Interesting day. I should have just played by the rules, or at least stuck with my original plan, which was to buy at the lows and ride the thing up, because I had a feeling they were going to close high around 525, and they went and they did it. So pretty good week, pretty good month, honestly. Thanks for watching. I'm going to give some more thought to live streaming. Not sure how that's going to work out, but it'll be after the course is done. I appreciate those of you who are giving me feedback on experimenting, trying these levels. And I understand you don't have all the rules and the nuances yet, but in other words, if you can't get a base hit immediately and then something else happens, that's when there's some variables that come into play. And it's good to know that stuff, which I am teaching in the course when it is available. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. We'll do this next week.